My name is Alex, and for 15 years, my world has been the silent, crushing dark of deep water. I'm a search and rescue diver, part of a team that gets called when someone goes for a swim and doesn't come back. I've pulled bodies from murky rivers, tangled fishing nets, and submerged vehicles. I thought I was immune to the dread that water holds. Then I was assigned to the Lake Serenity case. Lake Serenity is a geological anomaly tucked away in the sprawling national park of the Pacific Northwest. It's a high-altitude caldera lake formed in the crater of an ancient volcano. The water is impossibly deep, shockingly cold, and has a clarity that is both beautiful and deeply unnerving. On a calm day, you can see 100 feet down from the surface into a petrified forest of massive ancient trees that were drowned when the caldera filled. They stand like silent skeletal giants in the blue-green abyss. The case was a standard one on paper. A 28-year-old hiker named Ethan, an experienced outdoorsman, had gone missing. His car was in the parking lot, and his backpack, with his wallet and keys, was found neatly placed on a rocky outcrop at the water's edge. The logical, grim assumption was that he went for a swim and succumbed to the cold shock. My job was to go down and find him. My partner, Dave, handled comms from the boat. He was a veteran who had dived this lake more than anyone. As I was doing my final gear check, he put a hand on my shoulder. His face was serious. "Alex," he said, his voice low, "you know the talk about this lake, right?" I nodded. Every deep, dark body of water has its ghost stories. "I'm serious," he insisted. "There's one thing. It's not in any official manual. It's just a rule we have for this place. If you're down there and you start to hear music, you abort the dive immediately. No questions, no hesitation. You hit your purge valve and you come up. Do you understand me?" I almost laughed. "Music, Dave? I'll be 200 feet down. What am I going to hear, a mermaid's choir?" "I don't care what you think you'll hear," he said, his eyes locking onto mine. "You hear a melody, a tune, anything that isn't the sound of your own regulator, you surface. That's an order." The intensity in his voice was unsettling. I'd never seen him like this. "Okay, Dave, loud and clear. I hear music, I come up." My first dive was eerie, but uneventful. The descent was like sinking through liquid sky. The sun's rays pierced the first 100 feet, creating shimmering cathedrals of light between the petrified trees. Below that, the world turned a deep twilight blue. I switched on my high-intensity dive light, its beam cutting a solitary path through the darkness. The silence was absolute, broken only by the rhythmic hiss and bubble of my rebreather. I followed my search pattern, sweeping my light across the silted floor between the colossal, silent trunks. There was no sign of Ethan. After 2 hours, my air running low, I ascended. Back on the boat, the mood was tense. The park rangers had found Ethan's waterproof phone in his backpack. They managed to get it working. There was only one file from the day he disappeared, a 30-second video clip. It was shaky, filmed from the shore, showing the sun setting over the placid water. The video itself was unremarkable, but the audio. Underneath the sound of the gentle breeze, you could hear something else, a faint, high-pitched humming, almost like a flute, carrying a simple, haunting melody. A chill went through me that had nothing to do with the cold. Dave just looked at me, his expression grim, and he said quietly, "The family's on their way. They're holding out hope." The pressure was on. The next morning, we moved the boat to a deeper section of the lake known as the Cathedral,
a vast underwater cavern formed by the interlocking branches of the largest submerged trees. This was my target area. The descent was darker, the trees more menacing. At 250 feet, it was a world of absolute blackness, my light the only star in this submerged galaxy. I was sweeping my beam across a large silted-covered ledge when it happened. It started so faintly I thought I was imagining it, a single, pure note that seemed to vibrate through the water, through the very bones in my skull. It held for a moment, then was joined by another, then another, weaving into a melody. It was beautiful, inexplicably, achingly beautiful. It was the same melody from Ethan's phone, but clearer, richer, as if being played by an entire orchestra.
Dave's voice crackled in my ear. "Alex, what's your status?" I should have told him. I should have said the word, music, but I didn't. Instead, I lied. "Status is normal, Dave, continuing the search pattern." Why? I still can't answer that. The music didn't feel threatening. It felt welcoming. It filled the crushing silence with something wonderful. It pulled at some deep, forgotten part of my soul. As the melody swelled, my sonar, which had been silent, let out a sharp ping. I looked down. Below the ledge, about 30 feet deeper, my sonar was painting a clear image. A large, oblong shape snagged on the branches of a massive tree. It was the size and shape of a human body. Ethan. My heart hammered against my ribs. My training, my duty, my promise to his family. It all screamed at me to go down, to recover him. But Dave's warning, his terrified eyes, echoed in my mind. The music swirled around me, seeming to whisper, "It's okay. Come closer. It's safe down here." I made my decision, a rescuer's decision. I broke the rule. I angled my body downwards and kicked, descending towards the shape. The music grew louder, more complex, filling my head until there was no room for thought, only feeling, a feeling of profound peace, of homecoming. My light cut through the dark, and the shape came into focus. My blood turned to ice. It wasn't Ethan, it was a diver, clad in an old, bulky 1960s-era hard-hat diving suit, the kind you see in museums. The suit was covered in algae and silt, its brass helmet green with age. It was wedged between two massive branches, its posture strangely lifelike. I hovered a few feet away, confused. Who was this? Some long-lost diver from decades ago? But then where was the music coming from? It was all around me, emanating from the darkness. I shined my light on the helmet of the old suit. Through the grimy faceplate, I could see the vague shape of a skull inside. And then I saw the source. Through a crack in the suit's chest plate, something was glowing. A soft, pulsating bioluminescent light. It looked like a strange, beautiful, organ-like structure, and it was pulsing in time with the melody. The music wasn't in the water. It was coming from this thing. A wave of pure, primal fear finally shattered the music's enchanting spell. This was wrong. This was a trap. I began to back away, my fins kicking up clouds of silt. And as I did, my powerful beam sliced across the surrounding darkness, and my mind simply broke. They were everywhere. Dozens of them, figures suspended in the abyss around me, all facing the musical diver. Some were in tattered modern clothes, their limbs floating gently in the current. Others were in older attire, some even looking like early 20th century loggers. They were all eerily preserved in the cold, anoxic water, a silent, swaying audience. The previous victims. My light fell on one of them, a young man in a hiker's jacket, his eyes wide and vacant, his mouth open in a silent O. Ethan. My breath caught in my throat, a choked sob. Then, the figure in the old diving suit moved.
Its gloved, skeletal hand lifted from its side, slowly, deliberately. It turned its palm towards me and beckoned, a silent, horrifying invitation to join them. I didn't think. I screamed into my regulator, a useless, muffled sound. I hit the purge valve on my buoyancy compensator, dumping all my weights. I rocketed toward the surface in an uncontrolled emergency ascent, the cardinal sin of diving. The world became a frantic, blurry explosion of bubbles. The beautiful music dissolved into a final, discordant shriek of rage that chased me all the way up. I breached the surface like a missile, tearing my mask off and gasping the cold, clean air, my screams now real and raw. The rest is a blur. Dave pulling me into the boat, the frantic ride back to shore, the ambulance. I spent the next 2 days in a decompression chamber, battling a severe case of the bends, the agonizing pain in my joints, a constant reminder of my ascent. They never found Ethan. They never found the old diver. They called off the search, officially listing Ethan as another tragic victim of the beautiful, deadly lake. I quit the SAR team. I can't go near the water anymore. But the worst part is not the memory. The worst part is the silence. In the quiet moments, late at night when I'm trying to sleep, I find myself humming. It's a simple, beautiful, haunting melody. I can't stop it. The doctors say it's trauma, my mind replaying a sound. But I know better. A small piece of that music, of that beautiful, terrible thing in the deep came back up with me, and I know, with a certainty that chills me to my soul, that it's waiting for me to come home.